Good morning, good afternoon, and I want to welcome everybody to what we are hoping this will be an annual event. It's our first virtual symposium, and we are fortunate to have a lot of people here, so thank you all for coming. This meeting, by the way, will be recorded and transcribed, and then not every one of our investing organizations is present, but we will be sharing the recording of it with you in case other people in your organization need to see it and with the ones who aren't here today. Um, and I want to share a PowerPoint presentation we have prepared. So let me try to do that right now. Just a moment. It's here somewhere. Let me see. Hang on. Um, why isn't it where it's supposed to be? Um, Hang on. Just a moment. There it is. Now I share it. Come on now. All right. I think you can see my screen now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is it visible? Someone
Yes.
say yes or no. Okay, good. Well, we're going to be using this and we're going to be jumping around to a few things today. And I just want to go over our goal today is to start a regular dialogue with all of you. And again, this meeting will be recorded and transcribed. And right now we have our entire board of directors here live in Zoom, and one person is on video only um, because he had a, a personal event to attend to. So we have myself, Doug Litwin, Bruce Hare is here, Joel Shapiro, Harvey Zuckman, Nancy Corporon, Judy Ames, and Jordan Francisco is unable to attend. Um, just a very quick overview. If you need a reminder, this is how our organization looks right now. We have 19 investing organizations, is what we refer to all of you as. Most of you are bands, some of you are not. And this is the term we use for lack of a better term. Um, and this is a chart just showing our uh, total financial holdings since 2009. You've all seen this in the quarterly reports that you uh, receive. And now, before we go any further, um, I want to, there, stop sharing. We have a, we want to make sure everybody knows what they need to know, what they should know about Jon Sims. He's the person named after, that we're named after, and many of you probably do know who he is, but not all of you. So we are fortunate on our board to have Nancy Corporon, who most of you also should know. And Nancy is someone who knew Jon for many, many years. She's the only current member of our board who did know Jon, had ever met him. And she recorded a short video you're about to see, which talks about where she's actually being interviewed by Jordan Francisco, our missing board member, just talking about Jon and his background and what he has accomplished and why we are named after him. That was a very good place to start. Try it
Board
again.
of Directors. Today, hello, my name is Jordan Francisco,
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Okay,
and
here we
I
go.
am one of the directors at large on the Jon Sims Endowment Fund's Board of Directors. Today, we're going to be talking about Jon Sims. Jon Sims was variously known as the Pied Piper of the lesbian gay music movement and the patriarch of what came to be the large-scale movement that even today helps dispel prejudice and brings our widely divergent community members together through the universality of music. I'm pleased to talk with one of our board members of the Jon Sims Endowment Fund, Nancy Corporon, who had a close personal friendship with John. Hi, Nancy. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was one of the people who was honored to be harassed endlessly by John until I agreed to start a band, which was the New York band. So those who know John know that that was part of his persona, persistence and never let you off the hook. So uh, John has played a big part in my life because of the bands that I've been associated with, New York and San Francisco primarily.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So my first question for you is, where did John grow up?
Well, John grew up in Smith Center, Kansas, known, according to his sister Judith, as the boy who won all the 4-H awards for baking and sewing. He was also a talented musician. Like San Francisco band members would joke about his Kansas heritage, calling him Dorothy and likening their marching to following him down the yellow brick road. So Kansas.
I love that connection. How did you and John meet?
Well, we met while we both French horn players were still in college. John was at Wichita State and I was at Oklahoma City University. We felt a deep connection somehow, and we did end up living a block apart in Chicago after a few years. But after he visited San Francisco, he was drawn westward. I even helped him load his U-Haul for the trip. Soon after, I moved east to New York City, where I finally learned my true nature and came out to John in one of our phone call and letter exchanges. Oh, that was the connection. Oh, now I get it.
I love that. It's very important to find that sense of community that can help you be your true self. Can you tell me what is a not well-known fact about John?
Well, in addition to his other talents, he was also a dancer, and he even took classes in New York City. This shows up in the photos of that first San Francisco parade, where John, as drum major, delighted the crowds with his high kicks.
Yeah, definitely a show that everyone would love to see. What is one of your favorite memories with John?
Oh my goodness. Well, during that time we lived near each other in Chicago, John went away for a few days and asked me to water his plants. With my wilted thumb and lack of knowledge of plant watering and the fear that I wouldn't water enough, I managed to kill several of his plants. He took a deep breath and then graciously assured me that he could revive them, but I think he just replaced them.
That's a good friend. How did John come to start the San Francisco groups, including the San Francisco Band, the Gay Men's Chorus, and the Lesbian and Gay Chorus, which is now known as the Queer Chorus of San Francisco?
Well, soon after his arrival in San Francisco, John attended the San Francisco Pride March. And while the event was certainly boisterous, he felt it was lacking some pizzazz. And of course, decided that a marching band, especially one with the descriptive name New San Francisco Gay Freedom Day Marching Band and Twirling Corps, was just the thing. Then his energy and his prolific talent naturally led to the creation of other music groups, including the San Francisco Lesbian and Gay Chorus and the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, all of which were the first openly gay groups of their kind in the country.
Awesome. Very historical and an important fact that hopefully more people will now know. I understand that John had a hand in your being the co-founder of the New York band. Can you tell me a little bit more?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, um, I think John's actions toward me were more harassment than encouragement. But his enthusiasm and his belief in the intrinsic good of the movement that he started led him to never give up on me, to convince me that I was the perfect person to start a band in New York City. And in typical Jon fashion, he told me he had also identified the perfect co-founder and band manager in Bob Wolf, which would allow me to focus on the musical leadership. All my excuses falling to the wayside, thus was the New York Gay Community Marching Band, now the New York Queer Big Apple Corps, born.
Awesome. And for those who may not know, Jon Sims unfortunately died of AIDS in 1984. What do you think Jon would say about his legacy, the Jon Sims Endowment Fund for the Performing Arts, if he saw us today?
Jon always dreamed big, so I think he would be gratified to know that decades after his death, an endowment fund named after him would be able to help LGBTQ plus performing arts organizations achieve their big goals.
And what do you want people to think of when the name Jon Sims comes up?
Well, every LGBTQ plus performing arts organization has its own origin story, but all of them trace back to Jon Sims.
Just wondering if we're successful
We owe
in
him so
accessing
much for the music, for the
call.
friendships,
We're in the
for the
process,
chance
and
to serve our
we would be honored
community,
if you
to
know.
reach out to others through
So if
singing
you're
and
on, cool.
marching
If
and,
not, give me a ring back, and maybe we
yes,
can
even
figure
tap
something out.
dancing.
Cheers.
Jon launched our music movement because he firmly believed that communicating through music performance was an important way our community could change hearts and minds. We are all privileged to be a part of Jon's legacy, to see his vision and dreams remain and grow, as real as the day he gave the first downbeat.
Thank you so much, Nancy. It's really important for us, especially as my generation and future generations come to learn our long history in the LGBTQ plus community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Hey, can you hear me still again?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I hope that was educational, informative, and I just wanted to briefly mention that Nancy, besides, she's here with us right now, but besides knowing Jon as well as she did, she's also been honored with the Jon Sims Award, which is given annually by the San Francisco Band. It's the highest honor they give, and there's a clock, and it's set. Oh, amazing. And then also a few years back in Orlando, she was presented with the Pillar of Pride Award from what is now Pride Bands Alliance. In fact, there's several of us Pillars of Pride on the board in this meeting right now. Okay, moving on. We have, let me try to share my screen one more time briefly. We are a financial organization above everything else. And therefore, I want to turn it over briefly to our treasurer, Joel Shapiro, who's going to introduce our next guest. Go ahead, Joel.
Okay, thanks. It's my pleasure to introduce Michael Oxman, who's an executive director, senior portfolio management director, and financial advisor with the Milestone Planning Group at Morgan Stanley. And he's been with Morgan Stanley for 20 years. He holds a CFA and is also an accredited domestic partnership advisor. Michael graduated from Northwestern University in Chicago with a BA in economics and political science, and he serves on several nonprofit boards. And in that regard, he is a perfect fit for us as he understands our needs, our financial goals, and our mission. So, with that introduction, Michael, you're on. If he's there,
Right.
He's
I
there.
just call. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, and it was nice to learn a little bit more about Jon Sims specifically, and also to really be here today. I've obviously spoken more so with Joel and Doug, so it's nice to put more faces to the broader organization. And obviously it's important for you as members, fiduciaries, to understand your investments, finances, and allow you to make better informed decisions. And and same goes if there's anything that comes out of this meeting or future meetings where there are changes or decisions from your timeframes or needs adjust. Important to communicate that back to us as well, so that we can potentially adjust things on our side. So we started working together. Obviously, Doug showed that was a nice graph. I hadn't seen that, of the long trajectory of the investment growth of the endowment. Me and my team, it's been a year and a half, June 2024, since we started working together more formally. So last year, 2025, was our first full year. And I'm pleased to, I was going to whoever is running it, I was going to share my screen, but it says sharing is not turned on.
I can change that. Just give me a moment and I'll set it up so you can share.
So our first
if you want to try
full year working
now,
together.
If you want to try it,
yeah.
It may work.
Okay, good. Yes. Great. So, our first full year working together, this is, again, a little bit repetitive, some of what you already saw, but as of yesterday, the total value of the endowment is over $1,427,000. I like your graph has more time frame with it. This is only since June 2024, but an indication this is something we'll look at over time. All of 2025, the account started about $1,285,000. We net sent out about $12,700 last year. But then there were, I like separating these out, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The income earned. So last year, over $38,000 of dividends and interest came into the account, and then an additional $86,000 worth of growth. So over time, when we look at this kind of dark blue line, again, starting at Morgan Stanley, versus here, this light blue line is the total appreciation or investment earnings we've had. So over $200,000 of net growth since we've started working together. And we'll talk a little bit more about why I'm talking about income and growth. So in terms of raw percentages, you're the kind of mixing everything together, what we own in a diversified strategy. 2025, again, showing different numbers, 1,285,000 to 1,398,000 was about a net, just under 10% return for all of 2025, 9.78. And since we've worked together year and a half, we've delivered over a 10% annualized return for that year and a half percent of time. And just as a quick reminder, I know I only have a short period of time, so I want to cover a couple of pieces of information. As this is, the investment allocation may look differently than maybe you do on your own, or, again, we're investing not for an individual, but for multiple different organizations, or an organization which is meant to have different timeframes, different goals. So we have our mandate right now, or what we have an allocation, 60% broadly to stocks, 40% to bonds. And down here, these little color pie charts, this breaks it down a little bit more of what kinds of stocks. So here, this is really the largest part of our stock weighting. Not all stocks are created equally. Is more focused on dividend-oriented stocks, which tend to have less volatility fluctuations over time. So our goal with this allocation is really to give consistent, steady returns, thinking about not just trying to make as much money as we can in 1 year, but to have a sequence of returns, of consistent, steady returns, because that's really over time, particularly when we might be taking distributions or needing dollars ever. We want to make sure we're protecting the principal for future generations as well as growing it. And then real quick, just wanted to show you, if we just really break down and say on the stock side alone, our investment earnings have been closer to 15%. So the stock, if we just look at how much our stocks have earned, closer to 15% returns annualized, and the bonds closer to 5.5% to 6%. So that makes sense and kind of tracks with over time, kind of the blend of our return. And one last thing before I talk about kind of future, just wanted to go back. I know it may seem, in hindsight, 2025 seems like it was an easy, everyone made money being invested, but if you guys can remember back to early in the year with our president, announcing tariffs, there was a lot of uncertainty. And I just wanted to highlight, for you, while the markets were down, 5 to 15%, depending on kind of which index you're looking at, through that first quarter, we were actually barely down. And that's, again, kind of our goal is when markets don't do as well to lose less and protect assets. So I'm happy with how things performed. And just kind of looking ahead, again, we talk about income. So the dividends and interest really come into your account whether the market is up or down. So from potentially like a planning perspective or just thinking about our returns, if the stock market, if everything just stayed exactly the same, we would generate over $38,000 return for you. That's just coming from dividends and interest alone. So that gives us some stability, and it's also maybe useful from a planning perspective for you. Obviously, over time, we hope to grow the account more than that, but I like to look at that as well. I don't know if I have time for questions, but one just kind of thinking through 2026, looking out ahead, we still, our team and Morgan Stanley, believe that this 2026 can again be a good year for market returns. I would say our view continues to be that we want to have maximum diversification. Right now, the markets, the indexes, if you talk about the S&P 500, the largest seven, just take the largest 7 companies in the US, it represents almost 45% of the index. So 7 companies represent almost 50% of an index, and the other 493 represent the rest. That's an extraordinary concentration. And those are namely some of the AI-related companies, technology stocks. So we're exposed to some of those, but we have much more diversification. And we started to see late last year and going in already this almost the first month of the year, we're seeing that the things that you own more are actually outperforming a lot of those technology stocks. We're only a month into the year, not even. So obviously we don't know if that trend will continue, but we're still feel, I'd say, cautiously optimistic for the year, with the Fed likely to cut rates again sometime this year. Tax rates are now a known factor. No opinions on whether the big beautiful bill, good or bad, just as a fact. Tax rates are known. Deregulation is happening in certain industries like financials, energy. These are generally good for the stock market. Things that we're watching for are, unlike last year, there is a little bit more consensus that the market can do well, and we still agree with that. But that's sometimes, I would say the greatest risk that we're seeing is if individuals or institutions get a little bit complacent. So again, that's why we really believe in diversification and think that will benefit us going forward. So we still feel we're positioned well with your account, and hopefully be able to continue to share good reports with you. But kudos to you guys for remaining patient through. I know I was checking in with Joel a couple of times as we had volatility in the markets, and obviously doing nothing, sticking with the strategy has proven to make sense for you guys over time. So thank you again for allowing me to share. And obviously, I think we have time. Questions, happy or offline, if people.
Well, Michael, we have I know you're probably not going to stick around for the rest of the meeting. Thank you, by the way. We have some time at the end for questions. You're welcome to stick around, but I think what we do is ask people to hold their questions until the end, and then ones that we need your answers for, we'll get in touch with you. Is that okay?
Yeah,
that's okay.
That works.
All right.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you too. And I want to go back to PowerPoint for a minute, but as I do that, I neglected to say one thing at the beginning of the call, which I'm sorry, Harvey, I meant to do that. Harvey wanted to say a word or two about the latest breaking news of the day.
Thanks, Doug. Hopefully, yeah, my microphone's on. I appreciate just a moment to take this meeting aside for a moment. But as many of you know, I'm a member of the Desert Winds Freedom Band, but I'm a founding member of the Minnesota Freedom Band, and half my year is still spent back in Minnesota. And if you hadn't heard already, there was another killing of somebody by ICE in Minneapolis, just 2 miles from my house. And so my heart is very heavy at this moment. I just want to acknowledge that and not dwell on that, but let's just move on with the meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. And the Minnesota Freedom Band is one of our investing organizations. I don't believe they're represented live here today, but they will be sent the recording, as will all of you. All right, back to is my screen being shared? I think it is. Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay. I just thought I would, oops. Oh, just a minute. I want to just talk about our granting history, because as impressive as that chart is, showing our growth over the years, we do give out grants. Many of you have received them, and I just wanted to recap what we've done over the years. More than 40 grants have been issued, over $182,000. And in the last 4 or 5 years, we've issued grants for, you can see what's listed here, the type of things that we support. It's not limited to this, but this is what we have done. And at the bottom, I've noted that investing organizations, like all of you, do receive priority consideration when grant applications are being evaluated. All right. And speaking of granting, we have an application which is on our website, and a lot of people are obviously using it. We're about to launch by mid-February a simpler online form that will be easier to fill out and upload applications. Supporting documents. Bruce, are you ready to talk about the next topic?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here is the slide.
All right. So, of course, there's always other topics to cover, and one of them that we wanted to go over was investment advisor fees. And the reason we do this is because the endowment fund is in a unique position that we have been able to cover the fees for our investment advisor and the other related costs for several years now. The individual investing organizations do not have to pay out from their investment. The Jon Sims Endowment Fund covers that, and in calendar year 2025, those were at $21,112. This year, we've already had our first board meeting, and the board voted that this calendar year as well, we will absorb all investment fee related fees. Economic indicators continue to remain positive, so we are certainly encouraging continue to invest so that your long-term strategies continue to grow. Um, of course, we will be evaluating every year and even more frequently if necessary how the fees will be taken care of. And if anything has to change, obviously you will get plenty of notice. But for right now, things are remaining the same, and that's pretty much what I have to cover on the fees.
Okay. Thanks, Bruce. And just to further address this topic, the fees that we are paying to Morgan Stanley, the $21,000, et cetera, is already a negotiated fee based on the total size of our $1.4 million. And that is a relatively low fee. Before we switched to Morgan Stanley, we shopped around quite a bit, and this is where we ended up. And I can promise if any individual organizations were to hire an investment firm like Morgan Stanley or another one, the rate that you'd be paying is even higher. It would definitely be higher. Point is that by being part of this big pool of money, the rate we all get is lower. And at least through this calendar year, it's all being absorbed. So it's not costing any of you anything. Did I say that well, Joel and Bruce? Hello?
There's a thumbs up there.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I couldn't see it. Okay, granting history. Okay. Um, Bruce, do you want to talk about this now? The
Yeah,
Excellence Award?
yeah. So a couple years ago, I think it was 2024 was our first year we awarded it. A couple years ago, the board of directors wanted to start recognizing unique and the best of the best. And we also wanted to acknowledge all the hard work that our various investing organizations um, put out each year. Um, in 2024, South Florida was our inaugural winner. Last year, my home band, DC's Different Drummers in DC, received the award. And we had 12 of our 19 investing organizations participating in the Excellence Award application process. Um, that was terrific. I mean, well over 50% involvement. And it was awarded at the 2025 Pride Band Alliance Conference in Fort Lauderdale. You can see our member, David McBee, receiving it from our board members, Denzel White and Joel Shapiro. They received the award pictured there, as well as a $2,500 cash award from Jon Sims for their use in the organization. It's only open to our investing organizations. This is an annual award that we have opened the application submission, and they will be accepted until the 15th of March of this year. At that time, we will review, and award announcement will coincide either with the next Pride Band Alliance conference, or if it's a chorus that we select, then it'll obviously be at a choral gathering. We do share a summary of everybody's submissions because we want all investing organizations to be able to review and see, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Hey, let's try and incorporate that into our organization, or just to see how our brothers and sister bands are doing throughout the organization's umbrella. So we're very excited that we have been able to promote this award and that we're getting such positive feedback from it. So we're looking forward to the next stage, the 2026 award.
And when you received your email a couple weeks ago with the results from the fourth quarter of 2025. Attached to that email was the summary that Bruce just talked about. So you can read about what everybody did and maybe, as he said, learn some good things from it. Let me stop sharing for a minute. A couple more things I want to update you all on. As you could see from before, of our 19 member investing organizations, 16 of them are bands, which is great. And we have two choruses, I think at least one of which is represented, and the Cheer for Life Foundation. But we've wanted to target choral groups for a long time, and an opportunity has arisen. And in a month, less than a month, middle of February, Jordan Francisco and I, representing JSEF, are going to go to the annual Gala Choruses Leadership Symposium in Columbus, Ohio, and we are going to make a presentation there about the Jon Sims Endowment Fund. And I know both of our member courses will be there, and out of that presentation, we hope to obtain more choral groups who will want to become investing organizations. I just thought I'd let you all know about that because we are optimistic that we'll gather some of them. They're going to see very similar presentation to what you've seen, and the video that you saw of Nancy talking about Jon Sims. That's to be shown to them also, because every one of those choruses can trace their roots to Jon Sims, and many of them probably don't know it. So that's coming up mid-February, and it's ironically at the same hotel that the Pride Bands Conference used in Columbus, and the same Performing Arts Center. So I already know my way around. Also, this is a question I just want to put out there, not for any answers now, but we can follow up with emails, and you can share your thoughts about it with the group that received well, just with JSEF, at least for now. The question is, how does your organization handle issues that arise when you need the opinion of a lawyer, of a law firm? There's obviously a specialization for nonprofit law, and I'm just curious how all your organizations deal with that, because I think we all deal with it at one time or another, and it's come up for us at the Jon Sims Endowment Fund. And once again, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. That's been reinvented already many times. So if you have any thoughts on that, you can put something in the chat now or just communicate with us via email. That would be great. All right. I think I'm sharing my screen again now. I think Harvey is next. Let me see. Just a minute. Stupid glasses. Yep. Okay. Bruce, you were going to talk about this too, right? I'm sorry. Forgot about this.
No problem. Finally, my last topic. The board of directors. We're definitely looking for additional help. The mission is right there for you to read. I won't read verbatim, but that is our mission. And we are searching willing volunteers. This is a voluntary position, and we meet quarterly on a regular basis. We meet quarterly. We do have some ad hoc committees that smaller committees that do get together and report back to the board based on their purpose. But overall, you don't have to dedicate many hours a week to this position. But we need to expand our views and our talents because we're continuing to grow essentially, and we want to broaden our perspectives. So if you're interested in helping, contact one of our board members. I put the website that has our leadership listed on the website, and they all have links to their email addresses. Um, it would be a great way to monitor your own group's invested funds as well. Um, I helped establish the endowment fund um, arm of DC's Different Drummers, and it was a nice way to be able to keep an eye on things to make sure that, everything was going in the right direction, which it is. It's never been a problem, but it's also a way for me to give back, you know, continue the service of helping, my band as well as all our other music organizations to make sure that their long-term futures are better than they were working, various little events to raise money. So if you're interested, give us a holler, send us an email. We'd love to bring on new talent.
Right. And as I think you may have gathered from the history, this Jon Sims Endowment Fund began in San Francisco, and everyone on the board was from that city, but that has changed a lot. In fact, only actually none of our board members currently live in San Francisco, but we have board members in Minnesota and in Chicago and in New York and in Florida and in California. So we're very much and DC, excuse me, and so we're national and think of us that way. And we'd love to consider a couple more board members. And then next, I believe, Harvey, I think this is when you're going to talk now.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Doug. And everyone, thank you all for being here. So my question is, why stop now? Um, Jon Sims Endowment Fund has, frankly done a good job in getting all of you, or most of you, oh, maybe all of you here to make an initial investment in for your future in creating the endowment fund with Jon Sims Endowment Fund. But investing is a long-term project. And we probably haven't done nearly as good a job as saying, you should still continue to contribute to your funds here as you have the funds available. Obviously, we all want to make sure that we have the money in reserves to continue operating our organizations through ups and downs. But when you have that excess funds, that's the time to think about, should I put more of this into our endowment? So from your own organization's funds, um, you should be continually looking at that and saying, how can we do our organization best by providing for our future by putting more funds into the endowment fund? And the basic philosophy is do that over time. You might feel like, oh, I need to do that in chunks of $5,000 or $10,000, which is a lot of money for most of us. But you can do it, $1,000 at a time. You don't need to put large amounts. And if you spread that out over time, you get that value of the ups and downs in the market. So I encourage you all to really look at your financial situations. You know, do I have money? Do we have money here that we really should get invested and protected through the endowment fund, and do that on an ongoing basis? But another way is to really reach out to your donors. Most donors, especially your higher donors, understand the difference between operating funds and endowment funds. And if you're requesting donations through a form that you put out, even to your own band members, or your own organization members, if you're requesting donation funds, include that in your form. Say, contribute to our regular fund, contribute to our endowment, or have a special campaign. I know some of the investing organizations that have invested in the Jon Sims Endowment Fund did that solely from donations, not from their own funds, because members of that organization saw the need and commitment to provide for the future of their organization. So I really encourage you to look at the different options of how you can provide for your future, protect your funds, solicit new funds to contribute to the future of your organization, and that should be. I guess I'll recommend one more thing. If your treasurer of your organization does not disclose the funds that you have in the Jon Sims Endowment Fund, they should. So your board is fully aware that you have those funds there, and you can also at that time consider, should we move more funds into here? It doesn't, obviously it's not on your balance sheet anymore, but it should be disclosed in your financial reports whenever you make them to the board. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. And just briefly to follow up on what Harvey just said, thank you, is, you know, many of our groups have been around for a long time, and we have members who are original members in many of our groups. And as people age, it's a really good thing to talk about the life estate kind of giving situation, where as people are planning their long-term future, and making about a bequest, and the subject of how individuals can choose to make a gift of part of their estate. And I know that Jon Sims Endowment Fund has in the past received a couple of pretty substantial bequests from people who, in their estate planning, left the funds to JSEF. And as some of your members should be thinking about their own lives and legacies, leaving some of the money to your organization, and as those lump sums arrive, you may want to please consider endowing some of it to help with the long-term future of your group.
And to tack on to
And
that, Doug, there was a question earlier about where the funds come from that from which we make our grants and cover those financial financial advisor fees. And a good chunk of what is invested is our own money, the Jon Sims Endowment Fund. So we do have our own source of funds that we use for those endowments. And the other thing I forgot to mention is that aside from requesting grants, we encourage you to keep your money in your fund and reinvest it. But the fund is also there at some time if you need to draw off of the earnings or dividends. The reports that we send you show the amount that is available to you should you need to do that. But the best strategy, obviously, is to keep building your endowment fund through reinvesting.
right. Now, the remaining time we have is for questions. And I did notice that one question that was in the chat. So thanks for addressing it, Harvey. Yeah, when we issue a grant, we're not giving some other group your money. It's from our own money, much of which had come to us in the form of a bequest. So if I noticed that we did not really address some very, very fundamental questions, such as what is an endowment fund, how does it work, and so on. And we have a brochure, which I don't think you can see, which we gave out at the conference this past October. And, it's got some of the more fundamental things there. But if any of you are a bit new to this and want to know more about how these funds work, why they exist, send those questions in. But other questions from today, the floor is open for any. No questions. Okay. No questions. Oh, we got 10 minutes left. Come on. What do you want to talk about? Oh, wait, I see something here. I haven't been monitoring the chat. I've been running the PowerPoint. Is there anything in the chat that needs to be addressed? Can one of you see?
One of the questions is, are we all coming to Philly for the conference, the Pride Bands Alliance conference? And I would say most of us are.
I would think that's pretty good.
Did anyone have questions for Michael, who seems
Yeah,
to
he's still here.
Is he still here? Oh.
Yeah, that's the time. I see. Chris Martin talks about the attorney they use. Okay, this is good. This is good. I'm just checking on the chat. Any questions for Michael? He's the man who has all your money. Well, Michael, do you want to say anything about your team and how it operates within the larger Morgan Stanley organization? Because I know the way you've got it set up, it's like, well, you can explain it better than I can.
And I can't see any chat for me is disabled on my computer. So if anyone's writing questions, I won't be able to see that. Also, just to go back to the fee part, fees are obviously a, something to evaluate. But our goal is to really position people in the right mix and help deliver value for our clients above and beyond. And everything I was showing you all today in terms of your returns over time and total growth was net of or after all fees. And I'll talk offline me with Doug and Joel. I'm not sure the number that you were getting, but like the fee that you're actually paying Morgan Stanley is a lot less than what you said, but we can talk about that later. So Morgan Stanley is obviously a very large company. My team is a 10-person team, so you're working directly with kind of like a small boutique investment firm that really gets to know you and our clients. We work with a number of nonprofits, but also individuals and families. But we get to certainly leverage the kind of full breadth of the technology, the research, of a large company like Morgan Stanley. So that's the summarized version of how we operate.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Michael is right. The annual fees we pay to Morgan Stanley is more in the $14,000 range, but the $21,000 amount that was shown earlier includes other costs of running the organization. Is that correct, Joel? I think that's correct.
I don't think he's still on the line, but yes, that is not just Morgan Stanley fees. That's all our costs of doing business.
Right. Right. So if 21,000 seemed like a lot to you, it's actually more like 14,000 for Morgan Stanley.
And none of
Michael's
us on the
firm
board are
is
paid. We're all volunteers.
Yes, there's no bonuses for any of us.
We're
Okay.
paid in non-monetary credits.
That's right. Any more questions about Jon Sims? Because Nancy is our resident expert. Or anything else? I do mention, Bruce talked about the Excellence Awards, the deadline to submit. We've moved it up to March 15, and the link to that the application form is live and online. And I'm going to try to find the link to the form, which I think it was in the letters you've received, but I'm going to find it and put it in the chat right now, so you all will not have any trouble finding that link if you want to start thinking about applying again. Okay. I've got it here somewhere. It is.
Hey, Doug, I have a question on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so for the one that's just come out, for that, is that for things that have happened in the year 2025 that you're awarding in 26, or is that for
Yes,
2026 stuff? Okay, great.
No, it's 2025 accomplishments, and we're going to be awarding it in this year, 2026. Yeah, it's a little confusing sometimes. Like a year ago, some of the people included stuff that had happened in 2025, even though it was intended to be for 2024. But we all like to brag, and that's perfectly fine. So if you include some things that happened this month or something, that's okay. We'll be very much interested in reading about it, but it technically won't impact whether you receive the award. Okay, I'm going to put in the chat right now the link to the 2026 Excellence Award application. As soon as I can type a word. All right. Any other questions for any of us? I never thought this would end early, but it's always great. Anything else, my fellow board members? Okay. They're suspiciously quiet. All right. Again, the recording will be shared a link to the recording and the transcription. That'll come out soon. And I'll probably, again, put in the link to the application form here. And thank you, everybody. I wish you a good weekend.
Great. Thanks all for your attendance.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all so much.
You're welcome.